Hello everyone, this is Xephyr here, and welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne on PC. The Siege of the Unknown Monster is finally live, so that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, as I mentioned before, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of coverage before the siege, but then I'm not going to do commentary during the hunt. I might do a voiceover when I do editing, but it's possible I don't even do a voiceover and we just have it silent and just have the hunt speak for itself. Mainly because I don't know how long it's going to take for me to complete a siege, because it could be that I jump in partway through and we don't complete it on my first run, or it could be that I just get a bad group that can't seem to complete it. You know, there's a couple of different situations that could happen. So, once I've got a completed siege, we'll do a post-siege update on a few things, kind of go over how the rewards work, what we get, what we can do with it, things like that. So the first thing we're going to do is, the biggest thing with this siege is kind of like Kolteroth. Your goal is to break as many parts as possible, as well as killing the monster. So because of that, we need to put Part Breaker on our set. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to drop Wind Resist. I need to drop another thing, but I don't want to drop Mind's Eye. That's kind of important. Do I have any Part Breaker mixed? Destroy and Protection. Then I'd have to drop something for... Well, that could still be okay. You know what, let's do that, and then we're going to drop this Expert for Vitality. Yeah, it means we have less Critical Eye, but that's okay. What are we sitting at for Critical Eye then? Oops. 6 with Vitality at only 2. Let's see what else we can do here. Do I maybe have like a Destroyer Expert or something? Destroyer anything useful? Destroyer Maintenance, but doesn't really help me. Attack's not going to be helpful either. Destroyer Medicine. Oh, I have a Destroyer Vitality. Perfect. Okay, that's better. Because we'll get Vitality 3, but you know what? I'd rather only have Vitality 2 and take Expert here. Okay, perfect. That, I think, will work. And then we also need to change out our Dragonproof Mantle for our Fireproof Mantle. What should we throw on here? Let's see what we've got. You know what? I know what'll be perfect for this. Boom. Okay, good. So this should be our set. This should work out the way we want. So just to be safe, because I'm sure I'll do other things when I get bored of the siege, because I'm going to have to farm it a lot. But let's go ahead and call this Unknown Siege. Alright, perfect. Alright. Make sure we've got all our items here. Drop these. Is there anything else that's useful? It might be good to bring a Stera Jerky. Can't hurt. Oh, we definitely need life powders in Dust of Life. And actually, never mind, the Stera Jerky. Drop the hot drink. Okay. This should be good. Alright, so now we need to go talk to, if we looked here, it said that speak to the commander, so we'll do that, but let's grab our limited bounties for the week. So I haven't grabbed those yet. I love keeping things tidy and organized, but every now and then a good mess has its charms too. Let's hear your report as soon as you've managed to thaw out. So this is all not too bad. The siege isn't really going to help with any of that.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I just arrived myself. I sent word to the guild about the appearance of the Stygian Zenogre you located in the tundra region of the Guiding Lands, as well as the results of your recon assignment of that gigantic red monster. We got a response back from them shortly afterwards. The guild has formally recognized the red monster as the mature form of Xenojiva, and has given it the name Xephyr. Oh good, I don't have to call it unknown monster anymore. On top of that, our scouts have sent word that the monster has returned to where we last spotted it. We must share this information with everyone and set up a special assignment. Council must be held immediately.
Over here.
Let's go. You're coming with me.
We've received an urgent notice from our scouts. It appears the beast has returned. We know now we are dealing with an adult form of Xenojiva, and thus, we are calling this creature Xephyr.
We need to commence an investigation immediately. Every available hunter must head out at once. We'll use the gathering hub to gather all available hunters for this special assignment. Fifth, use it as your base of operations. If the reports are true, Xephyr absorbs all energy from an area before moving to another location. We'll need our most tenacious hunters out there to force it to go where we want it to go.
Yes, sir.
So what are we doing with this monster, boss man? Slaying it?
Yes. The ultimate objective is to slay the monster. We can't let Xephyr escape to the outside world.
Roger that. All right. Convene at the gathering hub.
Alright, Xephyr Siege. The Xephyr Siege is a special quest where you team up with all hunters in your gathering hub to slay Xephyr. Go to the quest counter in the gathering hub to join the Xephyr Siege. This is a fight designed for multiplayer, so it's highly recommended to fight this monster with a full party. I don't know anyone who can do it solo. People have talked about whether it's possible. I'm sure it is, but it takes forever, and it's probably not easy at all. So, you know, better to just do it as a group. The further you drive Xephyr underground and advance the investigation, the better the rewards you'll receive upon completion. The Xephyr Siege is only available for a limited time in the Gathering Hub. Players can join a siege in progress, but SOS flares cannot be used. Check Xephyr info to see investigation progress. Level energy. This shows the remaining energy in each level of the secluded valley. As participants in the siege complete objectives and energy stores are depleted, it becomes easier to drive Xephyr deeper underground. So, if you look at the little icon there, you see there's first level, second level, bottom level. The goal is to make Xephyr get to that bottom level. Reward level. The higher the reward level, the better the rewards. Complete research entries, and you'll accumulate points that will raise your reward level. Basically, when you break parts, you get reward level. That's it. Break as many parts as possible, then kill Xephyr. You can only receive a certain amount of points from other parties. If your party completes an already completed objective, the reward level will be overwritten. The siege is completed once someone in your gathering hub has successfully slain Xephyr. So at this point you should realize this is very similar to Kulf Turoth. Head to the quest counter at the gathering hub to pick up special rewards based on your reward level. Each gathering hub investigates one specific Xephyr. If you move to another gathering hub, your reward level will reset and you can obtain your rewards. You can investigate other Xephyr during the available time period. Also keep in mind that your special rewards will be available even after the Xephyr siege is no longer available. So a few things. One, it works very similar to Kulf Turoth, it's just a new monster. 2, you'll notice that the field team chief and the tracker? No, not the tracker, the seeker, both have some concerns about how the only option they have is to slay the monster. Like, the commission's starting to realize that we are... I don't really know how to explain this, but it's concerning that every time something new shows up, because it's such a threat, our only option is to slay it. But it's all we can do, because otherwise the ecosystem could be destroyed, or we could all be destroyed. So, but they are still starting to kind of like be concerned about that. And then the third thing I want to mention is there was a developer diary on Saturday, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming to Monster Hunter. We already know there's 2 variant monsters coming in April to PC. Yeah, April to PC. Then I think they actually mentioned that there's a third that's coming to PC and console in April because we synchronize up. There's a new festival that'll be happening in April, and then in May we get the fan favorite monster, and they revealed what that was. It's not what I wanted, but it is exciting. So yeah, there's a lot that's happening. Oh, and a new very cool cosmetic thing is coming up as well. That is very, like, everyone really wants it and did not expect it. So there's a lot. There is a lot that was announced. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to eat my meal, and then I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to start cranking these sieges out. I'm going to find a group and just run it with them. Like I said, what I will do is when I finally get to a point where I have a win, that's the part I'm going to show, because this can take forever otherwise. And I shouldn't say unlike Clove Taroth. Similar to Clove Taroth, you do multiple runs until you get the run that you get through the whole thing. And they don't deviate between, like, it's the same thing each time. It just goes faster the more you've done. So there's only a reason to show the one run that involves in the win, because all the other ones are just not completed runs that extend how long it takes. There's no reason for me to show potentially 3 runs, 2 of which are just not completing it, with the third being the finish. It just makes sense to show the finish because you'll still see everything, because you have to go through everything each time. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. So we'll just go ahead and eat our meal here, and then like I said, I'll mute myself and I'll start cranking them out, and hopefully we'll have a good interesting hunt for you to see, and then we'll do kind of a post review of what we get for winning, and hopefully it doesn't take me forever to get a win. So alright, so that's where I'm going to leave you all, and I will talk to you all after, well, I'll either do a voiceover during the siege, or I'll talk to you all after I've got a win. So see you all in a bit. Hey everyone, sorry to just jump right back in, but there's a tutorial that I need to read through, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. How to advance the siege. The goal of the investigation is to work together with all hunters in your gathering hub to drive Safi'jiiva to the lowest level of the secluded valley and slay it. As Safi'jiiva's health decreases, it will suck up the energy from the current level. Once the energy has been completely depleted, it will seek out more energy deeper underground. Focus on breaking parts and using environmental attacks on top of regular attacks to keep it moving. Work with other hunters to deplete each level's energy and drive Safi'jiiva to the lowest level. Once a party in your gathering hub slays Safi'jiiva, the siege is complete. Safi'jiiva requires special strategies in order to defeat. Environmental attacks. The perimeter of the first level features several spots that can be used to greatly deplete Safi'jiiva's energy. Stagger Safi'jiiva and drive it out to the edges where you can use the environment to your advantage. Safi'jiiva's movement. Safi'jiiva will doggedly focus its attacks on the hunter that deals the most damage to it. When it's focused on a hunter, it's more likely to use highly energy-consuming attacks, so take advantage of this chance to reduce its energy. Drawing Safi'jiiva's attacks. The hunter that Safi'jiiva is focusing on can draw its attacks by continuously attacking it. If the hunter fails at keeping its attention, Safi'jiiva will enter a much more dangerous, aggressive state. Hunters who are not being focused on can perform flint shots on its head to draw its focus, so hunters with superior defensive skills can help turn the tide of battle. Avoiding Safi'jiiva's ultimate attack. Safi'jiiva can unleash a massive area-clearing attack that can cause you to faint in one shot and cannot be dodged normally. The attack has a long build-up, so once you see it coming, take shelter behind obstacles in the environment. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, back to trying to grind out the siege. See you all in a bit.
objective is to slay the beast. Don't lose sight of it.
Proceed with caution.
When that thing's exhausted, it'll start absorbing energy. When the energy pool is dried up, it'll retreat to a lower level. Use that chance to follow it down. Chip away at it to break off parts or use your surroundings to damage it.
Solid work. Keep it up, everyone.
Hey, check out those clouds protruding out of the ground. We might be able to use them as cover.
heading for the lowest reaches of the area. This is it, the final showdown.
Yeah! Head through the opening in the floor by using the wing drakes. Hurry! Concentrate on breaking off its parts.
level. Now that thing has nowhere to run. You gotta try and wear it out so it runs out of energy.
Use those weathered rocks for something. Think. Something's happening to Sakichi.
That's what I expect from my new world hunters.
Oh, that was brutal, but last minute tail cut. Oh god, that takes so much effort to do. I don't know why the tail is such a pain to get off, but we got it off before the quest was over, thank goodness. To be fair, it was basically just me working on the tail. It didn't seem like Drax helped with that at all, which kind of makes sense. They're a lance, but I swear at some point someone was playing switch axe. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I didn't really look at my teammates' weapons very closely, if at all, honestly. Alright. Oh, wings are good. They're kind of rare. Tails were good too to get. Oh man, that was good. I mean, not the best run I've had since 2 people fainted, but not horrible either. Oh, okay. Alright, so I've got a little bit to talk about. As I'm sure you've noticed by the amount of the rewards I have in my item box, this was not my first run. It was not my first success either. Unfortunately, the first success I had, which I did record, it looks like someone had a damage mod installed. Initially, I thought they just had a text mod installed that kind of recorded how much damage people do and tell you after the quest. That's not something that's surprising. I know that when World was coming out, they mentioned that they were going to have accolades at the end of quests. A lot of people were talking about how they wanted them to say who did the most damage and who didn't, which I'm actually completely against because all it leads to is people shunning other hunters. But that's all I thought it was at first. And then I decided to rewatch the footage because something seemed off. And when I rewatched the footage, I realized, no, something's not right. They were cheating. And obviously I don't want to have footage of an illegitimate run in up on the channel, and I don't want that to be what we remember this hunt from, because I'm not gonna record a bunch of Safi Jiva hunts. Like, as with most things, I only record one, otherwise I'd have millions of videos and episodes. So I didn't want, the memory of Zephyr's, I should say mine, whatever, you know what I mean, that hunt to be an illegitimate one. So I decided I'd record another success to put in its place. What this means is I'm not going to re-record the rewards and my explanation of rewards and the armor set and stuff. I'm going to keep all of that because there's also NPC dialogue, which I can't re-record because it's already been recorded and saved as, have happened, because I didn't realize that or at least it didn't clock onto everything being wrong until after the fact, so I saved, and that doesn't really bother me. I don't have a problem with it. I've run into modders before and my data gets saved, and you just kind of deal with it. There's not a lot you can do about it. And I hate save scumming more than I hate having, hunted with someone who modded, because just something about it bothers me if I don't save and restart to revert from before any of those things happen and stuff. So I just kind of deal with it. But, so I can't re-record the NPC dialogue. So what's going to happen is this run, obviously, is in the video. You're watching it. But the next part that you're going to see, I recorded after my first success. So there's gonna be mention of the modding and stuff, and I'm gonna be mention how, I'm not sure if they were doing a damage mod or not and all that stuff. You're gonna hear all that dialogue from me, and me kind of rolling it around in my head. And honestly, it kind of threw me off, and the next little bit is a little scatterbrained. But it just makes sense to still use that footage, because the footage for the rewards and looking at the armor and all that is perfectly fine footage. It was only the footage of the siege that was bad. So yeah, so after this you'll get to see my original footage of what happens after you complete a successful Safi Jiva siege. And then there's a little more I have to record later to put onto the end of the video, but you'll learn about that when you watch the next part. So I just wanted to make sure I explained all that because I know it's pretty apparent that this was not my first successful Safi Jiva. I just wanted to kind of explain, make sure you all understood and know what's going on, why that is, and it kind of clears my conscience and mind as well. So yeah, but that was Safi Jiva. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure you noticed the hunt is much more involved than Kulve Taroth is. So this was... It's great. I actually really enjoy the Safi Jiva Siege, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of it because there's a lot of reasons to, which you'll see shortly. But yeah, so enjoy seeing the rest, and I will just talk to you all in the next part that I record. I forgot to, and I know I clicked through that real fast, I forgot that I had to do that part too. So our reward level was really bad. Honestly, this, like I said, this is not the best Safi Jiva siege that I've done by any means, and that reward level was actually extremely low. So the way the reward level works, and I believe I explained this at the beginning of the video, is the more parts you break, the higher your reward level. This team did not do a very good job of breaking parts. We didn't break the head at all, which it could be broken twice. I believe we broke both wings, but we didn't break any of the feet, and I cut the tail. So there was a lot... Oh, and we also didn't break the chest. So there's a lot of reward points just missed there. So this was actually a very poor run reward-wise. I think the max reward level is 17. We only got to 12. Just figured I'd mention what that is. It also kind of showed the energy levels of each of the tiers, the first level, second level, and third level, which doesn't matter once the siege is complete. That's what all that stuff was. I shouldn't have clicked through it so fast, but I forgot I had to explain that. So yeah, normally you go through the siege usually it's depending on how good the team is, it's either one run and then a win, or it's two runs and then a win. And so the first run, you're trying to get the energy levels as low as possible because it makes him move deeper into the area faster, because you can only defeat him in the last level. And then the second run is a win, or the first two runs are depleting energy, and the last run is the third run is a win. Or someone wins and you fail, in which case that stinks. It always stinks when a group wins and you don't, but it happens, similar to Kulve Taroth, as we all know. So your goal in that first and potentially second run is to break as many parts as possible, so that, because that third run usually goes a lot faster, and if you haven't broken a ton of parts, you're going to end up not breaking many in that last run too, because you're hopefully going to finish the quest much faster. But that's what all that was. Sorry that I waited to explain it. It just didn't... I didn't think about it until after I saw it, and I was like, oh, I was meant to go over that. So, again, sorry. I will talk to you all at the end of this video. So that's good. But let's go ahead and look at our rewards. So the Siege's Safi Jiva is complete. So we only got to reward level 14, which isn't bad, but it's really not good either.
Good to see you.
Alright, good to see you. Welcome to the Lunar Terrace. I hope you'll enjoy a leisurely stay, and please visit us often, especially Mami. Alright, so if we go to the Siege, we can grab our rewards. Alright, so as you can see, it's similar to Kulve Taroth. We have a bunch of different boxes. If we appraise, it's all Dracolite. So there's Rigid, Large, Normal Dracolite, and then Dracolite Shard. Rigid is the best, then Large, then Normal, then Shard. So we'll go ahead and grab all these. And then we also get weapons. Now, depending on your reward level, you'll get to choose between 3 and 4 to take. Now this is exactly why this is way better than Call of Taroth. Call of Taroth, as you all may have seen from the number of times I ran it, you may not get any of the weapon you want. With Safi Jiva, when you go to pick up your rewards, whatever weapon you're using, you are guaranteed to at least get one of that weapon. Usually I get more. Here it looks like we only got 2 long swords, which is still fine. It's not terrible. Now the other reason these are better is you're not looking for a specific named weapon. So like with Call of Taroth there was like Taroth Sword Fire was something we were looking for, or Kiar Sword Decay. We were looking for those specific named weapons. This time around, every weapon has the same raw. Well, every weapon of a type, because they'll be different between the types. But so like all the longswords are going to have the same raw, the same affinity, the same sharpness, the same number of slots. What changes is, well, they also have the same element / status. But the element will, all the elements will be the same and all the stats will be the same, but the number isn't the same. Like element and status, I think status is a little higher than element, at least on the longsword. But that's just because of the difference between how element works and status works. But you don't have to look for a specific weapon name. They're all the same. The fire, thunder, so there's one for every element. There's no raw, there's no direct raw, but there's one for every element and one for every status. Fire, water, thunder, ice, and dragon all have the exact same stats. And then all the statuses will all have the exact same stats. And the only difference even between the status and the element is how much element and how much status there is, and it's just because one of them is higher due to how they work. But everything else is the exact same, so you don't have to worry about finding a specific one. You just have to get the element or status that you want. So it's a lot less grindy. And then let me just take what we're going to take, and then I'll explain where the grind comes in. So we got the poison one and the ice one. So we'll go ahead and take those. So as you can see, yeah, the status is a little higher. So status on all the longswords is 210. Element on all the longswords is 180. Now you notice that the ice one has a defense bonus, and the venom one doesn't. There's a reason for that, and it's under the awakened abilities, but I'll explain that in a second. So I'm going to take both the longswords, obviously. And then my secondary is bow, so I guess I'll take the aqua bow. And then after that, oh, here's another bow. So we'll go ahead and take this bow as well, which is the frost bow. Okay. So we got 4 weapons because we did get a high enough reward for that. If you have lower than that, though, you might only get 3. Alright, awakened weapons. Awakened weapons can be obtained by defeating Safi Jiva. You can bestow awakened abilities onto these weapons, customizing them to your playing style. Bestowing awakened abilities requires special awakened materials that can be obtained from Safi Jiva's siege. Take these materials to the smithy to upgrade your awakened weapon. Additionally, a new alchemy option has been added to the Elder Melder, which uses awakened weapons and Safi Jiva materials. Use this new option to help upgrade your awakened weapons. Another thing that's much better than Call of Taroth. In order to add abilities to awakened weapons, you must use awakened materials at the smithy to build up potential. In addition to obtaining awakened materials, breaking parts during the Safi Jiva siege using awakened weapons will also build up potential. When you use awakened weapons during the siege, the amount of potential gained during the siege will be displayed on the results screen. So I'll kind of explain that once we drop off of this session. Let me drop out of the session. Let's talk to the people who want to talk to us real quick. I heard you were out there kicking Bass and shaking James. Who's this James fella? I thought you were fighting that Safi Jiva monster. Oh, you were? Okay, phew, because it would have been really weird if these materials I experimented with were from James. Anywho, I thought I'd see what I could come up with. Wouldn't you know, I made something. I hope this helps you out. What fresh trouble shall we stir up today, Hunter? Alright, sealing and awakening alchemy. This is actually really cool. New alchemy techniques have been added to the Elder Melder. Sealing alchemy. Meld awakened weapons to create awakened materials. The number of awakened materials you'll receive depends on ingredients and the strength of the awakened weapon used. Awakening alchemy. Meld Safi Jiva materials to create awakened weapons. Add the required melding points to create unappraised awakened weapons. So why this is cool. So with Call of Taroth, your only option was to keep fighting Call of Taroth until you got the weapon you wanted, which in some cases never happened. Like for me, there's a bunch of Call of Taroth weapons I never got, and I farmed the crap out of Call of Taroth. This, even if Safi Jiva, if the quest is no longer active, if you have awakened materials and you're still looking for a weapon, you can bring them to her, turn them in, and get awakened weapons. And then, you know, you might get what you were looking for. Or if you have all the weapons you need and you have a bunch of extra spares and you need that Dracolite, which we'll go over in a little bit, you can give her your spare awakened weapons and she will give you Dracolite for them, which is huge. So like, it gives you a way to use all the extra crap you collected from doing this siege over and over and over again and make use of it, unlike Kul'Taroth, where you could do it over and over and over again and get a bunch of duplicates and trash that you don't need. This is huge. And I really appreciate them for realizing the folly of the Kul'Taroth siege and fixing those problems. Sorry, I was checking my pop filter because it never seems to be where I want it. I don't want, and I have noticed that since I implemented my pop filter, the noise from me talking is better. Like the quality of the sound is better. So I kind of wanted to keep doing that, and I'm very OCD, as you all know. Anyway, so that's that. So that's a huge deal. So it gives you more options for getting the weapons and the materials without having to do, or I shouldn't say without having to do the siege, but using the extra crap that you've gotten from doing the siege. So it's a pretty big deal. I really do like that. Oh, so much dialogue to do. Let's go in here next. It's our handler? Yes, it's our handler, okay.
Great work, partner.
You were amazing out there, partner. Of course, it wouldn't have been a success without you. There's so much we don't know about Safi Jiva. It's like a mystery wrapped in mystery. I wonder how it was able to evolve the way it did, and how that affected the area around it. I mean, how is it capable of literally sucking up the energy of everything around it? And on top of that, how does it choose its targets, and how does it change the environment to its liking? I don't think we'll be around long enough to know the truth behind this monster, even if we could be. Who knows if we can coexist? Alright. Oh my god, so many people to talk to. Dear Lord. Let's do the smithy next, because I think we'll get another tutorial here.
That's incredible.
Ha, well, I'll be a Gobble's dentist. What's that weapon you got there? Give her here. Yes, I can see some vast potential in this one. Let's see here. I'm thinking we can use those materials you carved off your new friend Safi Jiva to make this bad boy even badder. Whenever you're ready to upgrade, select upgrade equipment, and then choose the weapon you want me to work on. My hammer's raring to go. What'll it be? Alright, Awakened Abilities 1. At the smithy, select Upgrade Equipment and choose an awakened weapon to upgrade. Awakened abilities will manifest when you have enough potential, which can be built up by using awakened materials, obtained from the Safi Jiva Siege at the smithy. Awaken abilities to create an even more potent weapon. This is why they're best in slot. And yes, all of these weapons are best in slot. I'm not always going to use them because I don't think the longsword looks that great. It's not bad looking, but it's nowhere near my favorite, and that's why sometimes I might not use it, because I want something that I think looks cooler. But that aside, bestowing awakened abilities. Once enough potential is built up, awakened abilities will manifest at random. Select an ability to add it to your weapon. Storing potential. Instead of selecting a manifested ability, you can choose to store potential. By storing potential, the next time enough potential is built up to manifest an ability, the odds of getting a better awakened ability increases. Up to store potential 20. After 20, it doesn't give any more bonus. So if you get up to 20 and you continue to store, you're not actually increasing your chance for a better ability anymore. Just want to clarify that. Overriding awakened abilities. Awakened abilities can be overridden with other awakened abilities, meaning these weapons can continually be upgraded. Like if you decide, the awakened abilities I put on aren't really what I want, you can always overwrite them and put new ones on. So the weapons can constantly be changed to your liking, which is very nice. They're very, very, very flexible. Obviously you need more and more Dracolite to do that, which again I'll go over in a moment, but you absolutely can continually change these weapons, which I actually usually plan to keep 2 or 3 of each one if I can, because I want to have multiple builds on them. I usually only end up using one build, but I do keep multiple of each just because I figure there will probably be a reason to do it. Unstackable awakened abilities. Bonus skills that manifest as awakened abilities and other special rare awakened abilities cannot be stacked. What that means is you can only have one set bonus ability on them, and you can only have one level 6 skill on them. We'll go over that in a second. Alright, so let's look at one of these. So let's do the Frostblade to start. So you can see that total potential on it is currently 0 points. The next manifestation is after 8 points, and we have 0 stored potential. So a Dracolite shard is worth 1 potential point. Dracolite is worth 5, large Dracolite is worth 7, and rigid Dracolite is worth 50. Or, I'm not sorry, this isn't 7, this is 20. So it's 1, 5, 20, and 50. So let's just use 1 and then 3 of this. That'll get us the first awaken. So we'll do upgrade. Alright, so now we get to choose between... Oh, and this is really, really good, actually. Wow. Okay, so we get to choose between Rathalos Essence, Attack Increase 3, or Sharpness Increase 3. So Rathalos Essence is obviously a set bonus. It does not give you the full bonus. It makes it so the weapon would count as 1 point towards unlocking Rathalos Essence. So what that means is if Rathalos Essence takes 3 pieces, if you put it on the weapon, you'd only have to wear 2 pieces of armor to get that skill. It can be really good. It can be nice with something like Silver Rathalos Essence, because with Silver Rathalos Essence, since it takes 4 to get true critical element, you could put it on your weapon, and then you'd only have to wear 3 pieces of Silver Soul, which then means you could wear a 2-piece armor set bonus as well. The reason I don't ever do that is because since Garuga legs are so good, even if I was able to make it so I only had to wear 3 pieces of Silver Soul, I still wouldn't be able to do a 2-piece set bonus because I'd still be wearing Garuga legs. I'd only have 1 open spot, so not really super useful. But there are other set bonuses that could be useful for builds or what people want to do. For me, I never end up putting any set bonuses on the weapons because I don't get a big use out of them. However, attack increase and sharpness increase, these are my jam. I usually go 2 sharpness and 3 attack. I haven't decided. So like I said, you can only have 1 level 6 on there as well. So as you can see, the sharpness increase 3. That means there's a 4, a 5, and a 6. You can have as many, well, okay, so every weapon can have 5 awakened abilities. 5 total. So right now, this one came with... When you get the weapons from the siege, they will always have 1 awakened ability on them. So in this weapon's case, it had defense increase 3 on it already. That's why I had the defense bonus plus 30, whereas the Venom Blade did not. The Venom Blade had Glavenus Essence on it. So that defense bonus is not inherent to the weapon, it's from the awakened ability. If we were to overwrite defense increase 3, the defense bonus wouldn't be there anymore. So you can have 5 awakened abilities. 4 of them can be level 5, with 1 of them level 6. On console, I went sharpness 6, sharpness 5, attack 5, attack 5, attack 5. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that this time. This time I might do sharpness 5, attack 6, attack 5, attack 5. I'm not certain. The reason being, with sharpness 6 and sharpness 5, you have a ton of purple sharpness, like Stygian Gula levels of purple sharpness, which is great. And then 3 attack 5s, your attack gets really high. So if, let's look at the base stats here real quick. So attack is 891, which is actually really high right off the bat. That's what Stygian Gula has. However, sharpness is only up to white. You get 0 purple sharpness. Even if we had a handicraft 5 on, we'd only have white sharpness. Affinity is 5%, which is good, but the element is extremely low. It's only 180. Oh, and there's a level 4 slot on it. So if we were to give it 3 attack 5s, it actually gets up to 990 raw, because attack 5 gives 5 true raw. I think it's 5, right? I'm sorry, I'm doing math in my head. Let me do this real quick. I'm pretty certain I'm right about this. Yeah. No, I'm an idiot. It's 10. It does 10 true raw. Okay. You get 10 true raw for each attack 5. Attack 6 gives 15. So what that means is we would get to, instead of getting to 30 true raw, we'd actually get to 35 true raw. Which means that hang on. Means we'd get to either 1006 or 1007 attack on it. The problem is I don't know if that instead if we did that, we wouldn't have as much purple sharpness. What I don't know and haven't decided on is if the sharpness or the 5 true raw is more powerful. A lot of times I think it's the sharpness, because since I don't run Master's Touch, it kind of makes sense to have the more sharpness. Now, obviously, if you're running Master's Touch, most people, I think, just throw all attack on, maybe a little sharpness to get purple. And I think some people even put Master's Touch on the weapons so that they only have to run 2 pieces of Teostra instead of 3, but I haven't decided yet if I want to go sharpness 6 or attack 6, but either way we're going to have 2 sharpness and 3 attack. So the best way to do this is actually to fill the slots with whatever you get out of the things you want first, because one of the other things that happens, so right now you can see it says add and then one of the awakened abilities. One of the other things that will happen is it'll have an upgrade, and upgrades are actually more common than just getting the add of what you want. If you have something on there that can be upgraded, a lot of times it's going to roll to upgrade one of your abilities. So because of that, if you want to fill this up with the things you want, it makes more sense to just keep filling in the slots with the things you want, even if it's lower levels of it first, and then just you'll get upgrades faster than just keep continuously re-rolling. So in this case, if we were to add sharpness 3, you can see it just adds a ton of white, but that's it. No purple still. Or we could add attack increase 3 and we'd bump up our attack power. And man, I can't wait to have one of these finished so I can show you why these are best in slot, and I'll be able to compare them to some of the other weapons we have. But what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and throw sharpness on here. Alright, so we got sharpness 3 on there. So let's throw another ability on here, which this kind of stinks because we don't have a ton of Dracolite because we've only done the siege once. But let's throw a large on here. It'll just... if you go over what it takes to awaken the next level, it does roll over. So if we do this, it'll give us the amount we need. You know, attack increase 2 is better than throwing sharpness 1 on there because it'll take less upgrades. So we'll go ahead and throw an attack increase 2 on here. Okay, so you saw the rollover finish. So it took a... Wait, we put a 20 on there, right? Oh, you can also see the awakened level's gone up. So our awakened level is 8, and that's because we have a 3, a 3, and a 2. So 3, 6, 8. Which now means it takes more points to manifest again. That's why when we put a 20 on there, it didn't fill up twice. It's because it was... I think we're at needing... What are we at needing now? So we needed 8. Fill up, which would leave us with 12. Yeah, we need 15 now. So let's just use a normal Dracolite here and see what we get. Hey, look at that, an upgrade already. So before I do the upgrade, let me kind of explain what different things we have. So pretty much every set bonus in the game can be an awakened ability, and depending on how high or difficult the monster is how many stars it takes up. So you can see Barioth here counts as a level 3, which means it would raise our awakened level by 3 points. I'll tell you why the awakened level matters altogether, because it's like, well, who cares if it raises it by 3 if it just gives you the Barioth hidden art. There's a reason the awakened level number matters. But almost every set bonus can be an awakened ability. And it might not even be almost every, it might be every set bonus. I'm not absolutely certain because I haven't seen every one, but I've seen a lot. And so I'm pretty certain all of them are in there, but I'm just going to say most set bonuses, just because I don't want to say all and then be wrong. So most set bonuses are an awaken ability. Then there's also attack increase, affinity increase, sharpness increase, element/status increase. Let me start over because I don't remember exactly. Okay, so attack, sharpness, affinity, element/status, defense. And I don't remember if there's slots. But then, of course, there's set bonuses. So those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. So in this case, we want to go ahead and do the attack upgrade to get to attack level 3. And we'll get a little rollover. Alright, so now you can see we're at awakened level 9 because we increased the 2 to a 3. So it went from 8 to 9. Use another large. Hey, look, another upgrade. Or we could add sharpness. Now, I'm going to try and not be super OCD about this, but like how I normally like to do it is sharpness, sharpness, attack, attack, attack. But it doesn't matter what order your skills are in. Like, they work the same either way. I just like keeping it uniform. The problem is there's no way to sort the order once you've put them on. So if you want them to be in a specific order, you might have to use more Dracolite than normal just to try and get things where you want them, which can be a pain. I'm going to try and not be OCD about it, but it'll probably happen eventually. We're going to go ahead and take the attack increase 4 because we probably should. No, you know what? I'll go ahead and put the sharpness on here to continue getting what we want. Now you can see with sharpness 2, as well as the sharpness 3, we're getting a little bit of purple. Alright. Let's go ahead and throw on a rigid so we can get a bunch of points. And notice, I have not had to store potential at all yet. Alright, so we got a sharpness increase 3. Let's go ahead and throw that on there. Awaken level is still 9 because we did drop a little bit. Alright, oh, there's slot upgrade. Okay, so yeah, there is attack, sharpness, affinity, element/status, slots, defense, and then set bonuses. Pretty much everything can be customized, which is crazy. Also, why am I going attack instead of affinity? Because you would think, much like augmenting, that affinity would be better. It's not, and here's why. The affinity and the attack are equal with numbers. So as I've told you many times, 1 true raw is better than 1% affinity. The reason that the affinity augment is so good is because the first affinity augment gives you 10 points, whereas the first attack augment only gives you 5. So that's why the affinity augment is better than the attack augment. However, here, a attack increase 5 gives you 10 attack, and an affinity augment, or affinity increase 5 also gives you 10% affinity. So it's 1 for 1, and in that case, the true raw wins out. The other thing is, it's so easy to get affinity thanks to Critical Eye going up to 40% and being able to augment with 10%, getting to 50. After 50% affinity, true raw does end up being better when it comes to damage dealing. So when it comes to awaken abilities, the attack increases are absolutely, unequivocally better than the affinity ones. So if you're going for straight DPS and you're trying to decide between attack and affinity, go attack, at least with the awaken abilities. You always take the affinity augment first, but in awakened abilities, you always take attack. I know it's very confusing, but it's just how it works. That affinity augment is just very unbalanced compared to every other augment, but whatever. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the affinity augment being better, but you do, when it comes to awakened abilities on Safi Jiva weapons, you want to go attack, not affinity. Now in this case, we're not getting anything we want, so we're going to store the potential. Get another level. And once again, we didn't get anything we wanted, so we'll store the potential. I've not found storing potential to really matter too much. They say it gives you a better chance at getting something better, but it doesn't really matter. Once again, nothing we needed, so we're going to store. I was kind of hoping we'd get to why the awaken levels matter, but I don't know that we will. It's going to take some luck. hey, we can upgrade. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see again our sharpness now, we have more purple. We don't need the sharpness increase because it's an addition, not an upgrade, and we already have the 2 sharpness we need. Okay, so an attack increase 2, we'll go ahead and add that here. We're now up to awakened level 12. Nothing we need, so store. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get to where I wanted to get to, which kind of stinks. So I'll have to probably record it later. Okay, so this is kind of funny. It's an add of sharpness increase 5. We're just gonna go ahead and overwrite our sharpness increase 3. You can see that it's now, without handicraft, we're starting to get some purple sharpness, which is good. But we're gonna go ahead and overwrite this because there's no reason not to. We're just gonna use that as an upgrade. There's an attack increase 1, so we can fill our last slot, which now greatly increases our chance of getting upgrades. Okay, and we're up to awakened level 15. There's an add. It's funny that it's an add, but we could do a straight upgrade of this, so we'll do that. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and use our last rigid Dracolite. My OCD usually tells me to hold on to the one, but you'll get plenty more. Use what you get. Just use it, because you're gonna. If you keep doing the siege, you're gonna get plenty. None of these are. None of the Dracolite is unique. When we did the recon, we got 1 rigid Dracolite, like as kind of a consolation for beating the recon. But obviously we've gotten more, so it's not like I can know if I used the one we initially got or not. Like, they stack together, so it doesn't really matter. But just use it. Don't worry about holding on to it. Obviously, if you want to hold on to 1 of each as like a souvenir, again, you'll get plenty more if you just keep doing the hunt. There's no reason not to. I tell myself that. But I'm not gonna. Wait, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Shoot. I tell myself that because I wanted to try and trick myself into it, but I know that I want to hold on to that one because my brain is dumb. So we'll use the large, whatever. Okay. Hey, look, an upgrade. So we're gonna go ahead and use this upgrade. We'll get another level of attack. We're now at awakened level 17. It's taking a lot more points. That's not gonna help us, so we'll go ahead and store. Alright, this is probably the last one we're going to be able to do. And we didn't get anything good, so we'll store again. Okay. So unfortunately, thanks to my stupid OCD brain, we're not going to use these because I want to hold on to 1 of each because my brain is stupid. I tried to convince myself. It didn't work. But again, you'll get plenty more, so if you don't have the same mental problems that I have, just use your Dracolite. Just use it. You'll get a lot for doing the siege over and over. So I'll just kind of, I don't want to call it a spoiler because I can't show you, but I will at least explain this, and I'll have to do an extra cut and edit in once we get to this point. But the reason awakened level matters is because once you hit a certain level, I think it's 22 or 23, the weapon, its appearance will change slightly. It's not a big change. It's very minimal, but it does change a little bit. It's pretty cool, but the biggest problem I have is I don't like how the longsword looks. Some of the weapons look really cool. Longsword to me is not that great, as you can see here. This is what it looks like. Let's go ahead and equip it so you can see it. I'll do the little weapon pose here. There we go. It's the best way to look at it. So as you can see, it's a long curved blade that's wrapped in some kind of cloth or membrane. To me, it very much reminds me, I don't know if anyone I don't know if you guys have watched Bleach or not, but it reminds me of the main character, Ichigo's, Zanpakuto Toe in Bleach. I mean, it looks okay. The red is pretty cool. The cloth being wrapped around it's pretty cool, but as I've mentioned, I'm a straight sword fan. I like European longswords, and this is not a European longsword. It still looks okay, but it just, I don't know. It's just not my favorite. I know there's a lot of people who probably do like it, and that's cool, but for me, it's just kind of It's a decent design, but it's it does look better definitely on PC than it did on console, because with the HD texture pack, there's some more nice intricacies to it, but just overall, like, I don't think it's a bad design. It's just not anywhere near my favorite. But yeah, so that's that. When I'm able to get on a more direct light and can finish upgrading this or awakening it, I'll probably cut in a part and we'll awaken it together. I'm only gonna do the awakening on camera for one of these because it can take so long. Like, I've spent way too much time on console awakening these weapons. So this is the one that we're gonna do on camera just because it's the first one we got, as well as the Venom Blade, but I like the Element ones better than the Status ones. But this is the one we'll awaken on camera. I'll awaken the rest off camera because I'm not gonna subject you to watching me do a bunch of Dracolite stuff. So as I said, there is a fire one, a water one, a thunder one, an ice one, a dragon one, blast, poison, paralyze, sleep. Blast, poison, paralyze. Am I forgetting any status effects? Blast, poison, paralyze, sleep. I think that's all of them. Is it 9? Hang on. Let's just look at decorations real quick to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Right, okay. So fire, water, ice, thunder, dragon. All the elements. One for each of them. Poison, paralyze, sleep, blast. Yes, okay. So yeah, there's a total of 9 weapons per weapon type. So the reason there's 9 obviously is there's 5 elements, 4 status. There's 1 of each element, 1 of each status for all 14 weapons. So that's really nice, and because all the stats are the same, every single one of them is good. It's not like Kulf Taroth where some of them were good, some of them weren't. They're all good and they're all completely customizable, and pretty much for every single weapon they're best in slot. I think Greatsword, the Acidic Glavenus Greatsword, is still the best, but that's not common. Like Longsword, the Safi Jiva Longswords are pretty much better than every other longsword because of their customizability. The only thing that kind of stinks about the Safi Jiva longswords is the fact that the element and status levels are so low, and unfortunately throwing the element awakened ability on there does not, like, you're really gipping your DPS from the weapon if you throw a bunch of element on there. Now, you can, I've said it many times, you don't have to follow the meta, do what feels right to you, but I will tell you that the attack increase is extremely efficient. It's just really good. If you do the math, the attack increase is just better. The only weapons where the element can be better is dual blades, sword and shield, and bow. In those cases, you might want to go element just because they don't get great movement values for their raw. And they hit so fast that element can be extremely powerful. So if you put a ton of element on those, they can be useful, but like throwing 3 element ups on the Safi Jiva Longsword would not make it that great. Whereas throwing all these attack on is incredible. Trying to think if there's anything else to say. I already told you Affinity is completely outclassed by attack. The slot upgrades don't make any sense. They're not worth it at all. Defense obviously is never worth it. So really the only awakened abilities that are worthwhile are some of the set bonuses, sharpness, attack, and element only on some weapons. Very minimal. And again, if you want to run high element because you're running Silver Soul, go ahead. I haven't done all the testing, so I could be wrong. Maybe with Silver Soul and straight element upgrades, the Safi Jiva longswords can be competitive, but as far as I know, running attack is far better than element, because element, just because of the way element is calculated, and longsword doesn't attack fast enough, or it doesn't have the values. Like the 180 element is really low. That's extremely low. Like even the Sijin Gula has 300 dragon, and that's even like that's not high for element. Especially when you figure the Despo Bolt Breaker I think has like 400 something. So 180 is very low, and so when you figure that's 18 true element with a with true critical element in place, 18, you're not even adding 9 to it, because it only adds 40% damage. I believe it's only 40%. So you're only adding like 7 or 8 true to it. So you're not getting a huge increase in element even with true critical element, even if you had 100% affinity. Whereas if you have 100% affinity and you have a ton of raw, you're going to do a lot. Yeah, I don't want to tell you how to run it though, because again, I don't believe you have to use the meta. I believe you can use whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you enjoy, and that's kind of the nice things about the Safi Jiva weapons. Is part of the reason they're best in slot is because they're so customizable. Their base stats are already really good. I mean, 891 raw at base without any awakened abilities. It's the same as the Stitch and Gula, it just has less element, and you can pump up the raw to be way higher than Stitch and Gula. And you can have the same sharpness, so it's like, oh, and more affinity, because it comes with 5% affinity on it. Like, geez, 5%'s not much, but 5%'s more than 0. And Stitch and Gula has 0. So you can get higher raw. So at base it has same raw, worse sharpness, better affinity, worse element, better slot. But with awakened abilities, it can have, at least the way I build it, higher raw, same or better sharpness, higher affinity, lower element, better slot. So it's literally only losing in element, and not even by much, because the Stitch and Gula only has, is it 300 dragon? I don't remember offhand. Let's take a look. Yeah, 300, so it's only 12 true element less. So, like, come on. The Safi Jiva weapons are easily best in slot for longsword, because they have great base stats, and when awakened, they're completely flexible to however you want to build them. They're amazing. They really are really good. So, now that I've done enough ranting, hopefully I've covered everything. Hopefully it all made sense. Let's go ahead and look at the armor. This is going to take a long time for me to create. So there's Safi Jiva Alpha. And there's Safi Jiva Beta. They basically look the exact same. The difference is a cape and a little bit of gilding on it. The Beta definitely looks better. This is not what it always looks like. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to craft it to show it off properly, and that's when I can do the rest of the awakening for the longsword and show off the how it changes once it hits a certain awaken level. Now I kind of wish I wouldn't have spoiled it, but it's not that big of a deal. I didn't really tell you what it does. I just mentioned that it does change how the weapon looks a little different. But I wish I wouldn't have mentioned that, because I didn't even think about that. I'm gonna have to add a part to it anyway to show off the armor. But this is the armor. Its set bonus skills are Dragon Vein Awakening and True Dragon Vein Awakening. Now, I'm very sad because this armor looks really, really cool. Longsword probably is the worst weapon to use with this armor, and here's why. The set bonuses, how they work is, when your weapon is drawn, you get, I think it's 40% affinity, and then a huge boost to your element and status. I guess it would be or, whichever you're using. It's a big boost. So it makes it very easy to hit 100% affinity, and then you also get a huge boost in your elemental damage. I think if we look at it, so elemental, abnormal status, and affinity up with weapon drawn. But here's the catch. Take damage when attacking, but can be recovered by continually attacking. So here's how it works. Every time you swing your weapon, whether you hit the enemy or not, you take damage. Once you've hit the enemy, I think with the longsword it's 8 times. It differs by weapon. The faster the weapon, the more hits you have to do. But I think for the longsword it's 8 times. Once you hit the enemy 8 times, you get some boost of health. Like you just recover, I think 1.4 or 1.3 times what you have taken if you hit the enemy with all 8 hits. So you recover back your health plus some. Now, there's a couple of problems here. One, if you miss the enemy, you just take damage, and it doesn't count towards hitting the enemy to get the health back, so you're going to take more than you anticipated. 2, all natural recovery gets negated, so every time you swing your weapon, you get a little bit of red health. It doesn't like take health away, like you go in the red, which can be good for the oh, what's it called? I always forget what this skill is called. Resentment. So it can be really good for resentment, because basically every time you're attacking with this armor on, resentment will activate. So that's nice. But you won't recover any of that, right? Like if you attack and get red health and just stand there, that red health will not recover. Nothing you do will recover that red health other than drinking a potion. Your natural recovery is just completely shut off. Now, not only do you have to hit the enemy 8 times, you have to hit the enemy 8 times without sheathing your weapon. The longsword special sheath counts as sheathing your weapon. So, almost every combo of the longsword involves sheathing your weapon before you hit 8 times. So you'll never get the recovery, which means that you won't be healing. Now, so you'll constantly be hurting yourself, not being able to heal, because you're going to have to keep stopping to heal yourself. Now, the health regen augment can kind of negate this. Level 1 does not completely negate it. It does a good job, but doesn't completely negate it. I never put health regen 2 on a weapon. I would assume health regen 2 probably heals more than the damage you take, but then you're not getting the affinity up augment. You're not getting the affinity augment. Now, because this armor set's bonus gives you so much affinity, you might not need the affinity augment, because it does give you 40% if you're wearing all 5 pieces. That's a good boost. You know, you get critical eye 7 plus that set bonus, you're already at 80%. You don't really need the affinity augment. So you could run double health regen if you want to, but if you don't hit the enemy, like if you miss, you're going to take damage. You're not going to recover back because you missed. You only get health regen when you hit. So this set, it just, with longsword, it doesn't synergize well. You can make it work. It just takes some messing around to make it work. Like I said, you're going to have to go health regen 2 probably, and you're going to have to be careful. We're probably going to run it a couple of times because I do want to test the health regen 2, and it's like if I put it on a weapon and it's not what I want, I can always take it off and get my materials back, so it's not that big a deal. But it was disappointing to find out that this cool armor doesn't quite synergize with longsword very well. It just, it makes me sad because it does look very cool. So if I can make a set that works really well with it, hey, we might still use it. The problem is anytime I decide not to use it, I'll have to re-augment my weapons, which isn't necessarily bad because, again, you can swap augments and get all your materials back, but it's just a pain. But yeah, so let's see what other skills it has on it. So evade window and critical boost, which is pretty good. Drop a level of evade window and you increase a level 2 decoration to level 4. It's got 2 level 1s. The body's got blight resistance and critical boost, level 3 and a level 2. Drop a level of blight resistance to get a level 4 instead of level 3, which is good that it drops the blight resistance and not the critical boost. The hands have 3 level 2 slots, give blight resistance a maximum might, drop maximum might to get one of those level 2s to a level 4, Blight resistance and maximum might both suck, so the hands are kind of bleh, but you want all 5 pieces, you really do, because the 3-piece set bonus I think only gives 20% affinity, which isn't worth the damage you take. I don't know if you take less damage though with it. We'd have to test it. Waste gives a evade window and maximum might. Drop that maximum might to increase the level 3 gem to a level 4 and also gain a level 1. That's great. I hate maximum might. I like evade window. That's pretty good. And the legs have a level 3, level 2, and a level 1 slot. Critical boost maximum might. Drop that maximum might and you have a level 4 slot, level 2 slot, and a level 1 slot. So the armor is actually pretty good. It's incredible DPS on it, and with the full set you're getting critical boost 3 out of the gate. You're getting evade window 3, which is nice. You're gonna want that because you're gonna want to max that out since you're gonna be taking damage just from attacking. And then you've got blight resistance level 2, which who cares? But I mean, it's not the worst thing. You could actually throw, I think people said you throw the coalescence skill on there. That's the one where when you cure a blight you get a boost in your attack and element for a short while. Since blight window 2 or blight resistance 2 cuts down how long you're blighted for by 75%, you can run coalescence for a long time, so you can make this set work pretty well. It's just with longsword you're gonna have to find a way to deal with the health issue because you're sheathing so much. So we'll try and make it work, but you need a lot of parts to make this thing. Like, you don't get a ton of parts from fighting Safi, and you need a lot of parts. So luckily I'm going to be running the siege a lot, and mainly because I want all the weapons. I want them all at least awakened. I want one of each element status at least awakened the way I like, which is sharpness, sharpness, attack, attack, attack. Though again, I don't know if I'm going sharpness 6 or attack 6 as my level 6 awakened ability. So I've got a lot of runs to go through with him. But at least getting all the weapons, at least one of each, is a lot easier than it is with Kulf Taroth. It's a lot easier. And luckily we've gotten 1 Zionium crystal already, which I think we only need 1 for the armor. Yeah, we do. So we can at least make the beta. I do need 2 because I want to make the alpha too. But beta's gonna come first, obviously. So yeah, so this video, I will be running this guy a lot. And then when I finish running him, I will add in a little section to the end that is crafting the armor and finishing awakening this weapon. Or potentially another weapon. One or the other. Let me put my Stygian Gula back on, so that when I go back to running this siege, I'm ready to go. Like I said, I know I said we're awakening that one weapon, but I might forget that I said that by the time I'm done and awaken a different one on camera. But either way, we're only awakening one on camera. It just takes too long. So now that we're through all that long part, let's go talk to the rest of the NPCs we have to talk to. Freaking A, kid, you were a clutch out there during the siege. You know what my Wyverian friend told me? He said that I'm nothing like you with what you've accomplished. I'm just a guy who thinks about doing it, then cranks it up 110% to get it done my way. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess we'll have to find out ourselves. Ha ha ha.
You're back.
You made it back safely. Good. That Safi Jiva's siege was no easy task. I'll make sure that the guild is informed of your efforts and what we've discovered. It's about time for me to head back to Astera. I can't be absent for too long, but know that I'm very proud of you.
Great.
Every time I think you've done something impressive, you go and top yourself. Your work during the siege was something else. You saved not only our home, but the entire new world from potential disaster. It may only last a moment, but for now we can rest easy. But hey, at least we're doing our way, the way of the new world. Alright, one other person to talk to, and this one's a big deal. Thanks to the developer diary on Saturday, I don't know if this guy is talking about what I think he's talking about, but there are still going to be more updates after what they revealed on Saturday, so you never know. But let's talk to him.
Safi Jiva and its existence has been on my mind since this adventure began. It reshapes its surroundings so it can reap the benefits. I must admit, it's no different from humans. However, Safi Jiva has been defeated. You must ask yourself, why hasn't something come after us? Where does one draw the line? And if we were to be obliterated, who will do the deed? To be honest, I am curious about when that time will come, and what answers it will bring to us upon its arrival. Before long, you and I will go our separate ways, and after we say our farewells and several human lifetimes pass, maybe the day will come when I find an answer. Keep that close to you, Hunter.
Alright, we get the heroic red horn, which is a Safi Jiva horn as a pennant. So, the reason that his dialogue is so important is he's talking about the destruction of humanity. And supposedly, a certain monster destroyed humanity at a certain kingdom. This is not a spoiler, but in previous Monster Hunters, you fought Fatalis in Castle Shrade, or Castle Shrade, or I don't know how it's pronounced, but and supposedly Fatalis destroyed that kingdom in a night. I don't remember if that's canon lore from a game or if that's what was in a art book at one point that was their thoughts at some time, but so I can't speak for certain that that is the lore, or if it's just that Fatalis likes to hang around that castle that is abandoned. But I'm pretty certain that Fatalis destroying that kingdom is actual Monster Hunter lore. Now, the way he talks made everyone think Fatalis is coming, Fatalis is coming, me included. As soon as I read that the first time on console, I was like, oh my god, they just teased Fatalis. That's why when I said that the monster that they teased us with on Saturday is very cool, but it's not what I expected, because it's not Fatalis. That is not what was teased. So, you know, not spoiling anything, because that's not what we're getting. Because of that dialogue, I still wonder, are they going to add Fatalis, and is Fatalis going to be the final add-on? Now, I've mentioned this before, Fatalis is my favorite monster. That's why I want Fatalis here so badly. And when I read his dialogue the first time, I thought, oh, this is just me, a Fatalis fanboy, reading too much into it. But, I mean, I went on the forums, and there were a lot of people who thought the same thing I did. I didn't even post about it. I just, like, the day that the Siege came out, I did the Siege and saw that dialogue and went on the forums, and other people had posted, said, oh my goodness, does this mean Fatalis is coming? And then there was the 15th anniversary video that showed a high-def Fatalis at the end. And so everyone was like, we're getting Fatalis. Clearly, they're giving us Fatalis. There's no announcement of Fatalis. The monster they're adding in May is not Fatalis. So, I'm hoping, still, because I would love for Fatalis to be brought to Iceborne, especially since the monster that they're adding in May, there's not much else to go from there in terms of difficulty. Like, clearly they're continually adding tougher and tougher and tougher monsters. They don't want to, like, add a tough monster and then add a not so tough monster after it, because that makes no sense. Like, if you're going to add in something difficult, adding something easy after it makes no sense, because the thing that was difficult is going to give you better gear than the thing that's easy, so that thing that's easy is never going to matter. So what we're getting in May, the only place they can go from there is basically Fatalis. So hopefully we'll still get Fatalis in Iceborne, but we'll see. It's just my hope and my dream. It may never happen. But yeah, so that's all I've got for this moment. Obviously this isn't the end of the video, because I'm going to do a cut, and after a few more days, hopefully I will have enough Dracolite to finish an upgrade of our Safi Jiva weapon, and hopefully I also have enough parts to make the armor, so I can show that off a little bit. So I will see you all in a moment, but for me it's going to be a couple days, so I'll talk to you all in a bit. Welcome back, everyone. I have gotten enough materials to make the beta set of Safi Jiva's armor. It took far longer than I wanted it to, and I honestly don't have nearly as many parts as I'd like, mainly because I've not had a lot of luck getting good groups. And what I mean by that is most of the groups, everyone seemed to focus on the feet, which, while they're the safest spot to attack, they give the least amount of reward points for breaking them, and honestly, you can pretty much break none of the feet and still get the max rewards as long as you break all the other spots. But breaking the feet doesn't really help that much, and so when teams are just focusing on the feet, you generally only end up with reward level 13 or 14 instead of 17. Instead, people need to be focusing on the head, the chest, the wings, and the tail, and the wings require a good gunner, which unfortunately a lot of times I'm either having no gunners or gunners who for whatever reasons attack the feet instead of the wings. I cut the tail pretty much every time, so the tail's always off, and usually as long as we have a hammer or someone or a gunner kind of knows what they're doing and they attack the head, we can break the head both times. But getting wings and hard horns, which are from the head, and the wing breaks were difficult, and I think I only got... No, I haven't gotten max rewards even once. I got to 16 with one group. We missed breaking the head, but we got the chest, the wings, and the tail, and I think 1 or 2 of the feet. So not having great groups kind of makes it difficult to get everything. But we have enough to make the armor, and we should have enough Dracolite to finish upgrading our first Safi Jiva weapon. So let's go ahead and take care of this, because I want to show off what the armor looks like when you're wearing it, and it is a good set. I'm hoping to find a way to make it useful with longsword, but yeah, as I mentioned before, it is not very synergistic with how longsword is played, because longsword sheathes a lot because of the special sheath. And so because we sheath so much, the set bonus basically is always hurting us instead of ever getting to the point where it heals us, which kind of stinks. So we'll go ahead and equip it. I'll switch back to my Silver Soul after we finish up, and I go back to hunting. But I want to just show off what the armor looks like when wearing it, and it has a cool functionality, which I think I mentioned before. Alright, so there's the full set of beta. As you can see, I don't have enough wings. I don't have a Devil Joe Crook anymore, or Zinogre Sky Emerald, or enough hard horns to make the alpha set. I will hopefully get enough parts before Safi's gone to make the alpha as well. It'll probably happen because I still need a ton of Dracolite, so I'll probably be able to make both sets, but the beta is definitely better overall, so that's why we made it. As we all know, beta is always the best because it gives the most functionality due to the increased number of decoration slots. Okay, so this is what the armor looks like. Very, very cool. Even just like this, it's very cool. However, when you unsheath your weapon, which we can show off by doing a weapon pose, it transforms. The armor itself awakens, and yeah, it looks super, super cool when it's awakened. You go from just kind of a basic knight plate armor look to a much more epic knight plate armor look. It's honestly one of my favorite looking armor sets. I wish that it synergized with the longsword better because I would like to use it just for how cool it looks. But unfortunately, it's not layered, and it is tough to use with the longsword. But I might make it work with augments. We'll see. I'll play around with it, and if I can get it to work, we'll use it. But I don't have high hopes for that, so it may just be something that we have that looks really cool. Alright, so that's that. So now, I already mentioned what the set bonus did in the last bit of the video, so now we're just going to try and finish awakening our weapon, and then we should finally be done with this extremely long video. I know this is a very, very long one, but there was a lot that went with Safi Jiva. So, we need to upgrade, and I have a ton of these weapons now, just so you know. Finding the one that... Ah, there it is, the Frostblade. Well, I guess that was easier than I expected. I have so many of these weapons now. So as you can see, I have a decent amount of Dracolite now, but I was hoping to have more Rigid, but even when I had high reward levels, I still did not get very lucky with Rigid Dracolite, which is too bad. But But we do have quite a bit, so let's go ahead and keep trying to awaken this thing. Hey, look at that. We can get sharpness 5, increase our sharpness 4, which is actually good because this is what I wanted. Because when it pops up sharpness 6, I need to compare how much it increases our natural purple sharpness to see if it's worth going with that, which, just looking at it now, looking how much we're going to have without handicraft, I probably will stick with sharpness 6 because there is probably going to be a time where, especially with these weapons, we want to drop handicraft for agitator, and it's a lot easier to do if you have a lot of natural purple sharpness, and 5 true raw is not that much when you figure that. I'm going to do the math here real quick. I'm pretty certain that 990 raw is 300 true raw for longsword. Yeah, it's 300. So, adding 5 true raw is not adding much damage-wise. I mean, that's what, let me see here. Do the math. That is literally 1.6%, which is not a good increase. Whereas having that extra purple sharpness means we can stay in purple longer with and without handicraft. So we're probably going to go with the sharpness 6. I just think it's going to be more worthwhile than the tiny attack boost. As cool as it would be to see a longsword with attack power above 1,000, I don't think 1.6% increase in attack is going to make up for the chunk of purple. But we'll decide that when we get there. For now, let's go ahead and just upgrade this to 5. You can already see we have a good amount of purple sharpness there. And with handicraft, we probably wouldn't ever need the extra bit of purple. We probably could take the attack 6 instead of the sharpness 6. However, again, if I ever want to drop handicraft and go for another charm, again, agitator, which I think gets to level 4 on the charm, much like handicraft can get to level 4 on the charm, it makes so much more sense to be able to drop handicraft, and because handicraft just increases your sharpness, it doesn't increase your damage or anything except for when it adds purple if you only have white, in which case this wouldn't do that. So if we can just have purple and don't need the handicraft, then we're able to pop that agitator on there and be a lot stronger. So and the increase from agitator is greater than what that 5 true raw would give. So, because I think the agitator gives true raw, and it gives like 20 true raw or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah, because I think all the numbers you see on skills is the true value, not the bloated value. Yeah, it is. It has to be, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Because then, like, if a greatsword got 20 raw, and it wasn't true raw, just 20 raw, that 20 raw would not be, or, yeah, that 20 raw wouldn't be as good for a greatsword as it would be for, say, like, a sword and shield, because sword and shield has a smaller bloat number, so 20 raw on a sword and shield is a huge amount, whereas 20 on a greatsword is not a lot when they're bloated. You remove the bloat, and it's an equal attack increase. So, yeah, the number, so agitator adds a lot more raw than 5. So it would be nice. I think the sharpness increase is definitely the better one. So I think we're definitely going to go sharpness 6. However, I am getting multiples of each weapon type. So if I decide that I want to build one out with attack increase 6 instead of sharpness increase 6 without having to completely re-roll skills on a weapon and then have to revert them, you know, have one of each version, I can do that. Obviously, both of them take a ridiculous amount of Dracolite to have them up, but, I mean, you can always keep farming Dracolite, so it's not that big a deal. So, we just need to get our attack increases and a sharpness 6 at this point. The other thing that I have to watch for is if Silver Rathalos Essence comes up, I basically have to take it, because it's really rare to see, and I do want at least one of my... so basically I'm going to have 3 of each element and status so that I can have 3 different builds. The primary one I want is sharpness 6, sharpness 5, attack 5, attack 5, attack 5. The second one I'm not certain, but it's probably going to be sharpness 5, attack 6, attack 5, attack 5. And then the third one I want to be Silver Wrath, sharpness 6, sharpness 5, attack 5, attack 5. And that's just so that I can have a version... And I only need the Silver Wrath on Elemental. On status ones, I'd want Gold Wrath, but the reason for that is so that at some point I might be able to have only 3 pieces of Silver Rathalos, the Garuga legs, and then I can throw on, I think it's the hands on Silver Wrath I'd replace. I can throw on a different pair of hands that are better. Now, the problem is, dropping an attack 5, that's dropping 10 true raw, so I would have to be replacing those gauntlets with something that gives a significant boost to make it worthwhile. So it's a balancing act. I don't know if it'll be worth it in the long run, but who knows. The main reason that the sharpness 6, sharpness 5, attack 5, attack 5, attack 5 setup is so good is I can use it on any armor set and it will be good. I don't have to worry about synergizing set bonuses or anything, whereas if I put Silver Wrath on a weapon, it's only good with the Silver Wrath armor. So it's a balancing act. Go ahead and store. Let's use some of these because I have a ridiculous amount of them. Sharpness 5, I don't need that. I need sharpness 6. It's easier to get those small ones, that's why I'm taking them. Hey, an attack 4, so we can upgrade one of our 3s. That's good. Hey, attack 5. Making progress. You can see that the attack on this thing has gotten very good now. Okay. Now, also pay attention to our weapon icon in the slot. You can tell we're at Awakened level 20. Again, that's because we have 5 points from Sharpness 5, 5 points from the other Sharpness 5, so that's 10. 5 from Attack 5 puts us at 15, then a 3 and a 2 puts us at 20. But you want to keep watching that icon there. And let's see. I guess we'll just use another large, because we need 20 points. It's not an upgrade, but it is an upgrade. It's just an add, but we'll erase the attack increase 2 to put on attack increase 3. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen sharpness 6 yet. Normally it doesn't take this long to get the, it to tell you it wants to upgrade something to 6. Wow, this is weird. But we did get an attack increase 4, so another step forward. I think we only need one more level for the change that I'm wanting to show off. And we didn't get it there. Hey, alright, upgrade, and I think this will give what I want. Alright. Yep, there it is. Okay, so you see the icon change. Now all of a sudden there's this, like, gaseous energy or mist or whatever you want to call it flowing off the weapon. So let me show you something here. I showed you what the weapon looked like before. It's kind of hard to tell here just when it's on my back, but you can kind of see again that now it's like lit up, whereas before it was not. But if I go and we do a pose, I'm surprised it went with that one. There it is. Okay, so now that the weapon's drawn, you can see that not only is the energy flowing off the weapon, but now the cloth, or the it's definitely Xenojiva / Safijiva membrane, not cloth, but whatever. You can see that it's now flowing off the weapon like it's alive, and I shouldn't say it's alive, but it's pulsing with energy. The weapon is truly awakened now. So now when you unsheath it, the cloth unwraps and flows and has those little glyphs on them, which is really cool. And every longsword turns out looking like this, but with a different color based on the element or status on it. And every weapon type, so hammer, greatsword, sword and shield, dual blades, so on and so forth, they all have this kind of effect too. Their cloth / membrane, whatever it is, are in different spots, but when they hit awakened level 23, every weapon, the cloth gets these glyphs and kind of flows out like that when you unsheath the weapon. It's super cool. So this part I do like about these weapons. As much as I wish the longsword looked a little different, mainly I wish it was more of a straight sword, or just kind of, I don't know, like I said, it's just not the coolest design to me. But as much as I wish that it did look a little different and a little cooler to my tastes, I really enjoy the energy pulsing off of it and the flowing cloth membrane and glyphs. I think that looks sick. So that's really cool, at least. But we still have to finish augmenting this thing. Or upgrading it, I should say, because it's not augmented yet. Okay, so we still need 20 points per. Nothing here. And I know I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it one more time. Affinity is not as efficient an awaken ability as attack. I said this before. Point for point attack is equal, or point for point raw attack always beats affinity. So, and with the awakened abilities you get, for each level you get 2 raw or 2 affinity. So the raw wins. At attack increase 6 and affinity increase 6, you get 15 true raw or 15% affinity. So the true raw is better. And I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I just want people to understand, so that if they're making their weapons, they understand the most efficient way to make your weapon powerful. Obviously, if you're really trying to get 100% affinity, the affinity might make sense. But if you're trying to be the most efficient with the damage, you don't need 100% affinity for it to... You don't need 100% affinity. You just don't. Affinity has diminishing returns after 50%, and raw doesn't. So the only reason that the affinity augment is better than the attack augment is because it has less investment, because you only need 2 slots as opposed to 3, and it gives double the amount. So the raw augment only gives 5, whereas the first level of the affinity augment gives 10. And since they're not 1-for-1, affinity wins out. But when they're 1-for-1 next to each other, the true raw will always win. It's always better. It's too easy to get up to at least 40%, if not 50% affinity. And after that, affinity is just not as efficient. But raw is always efficient in that way. And that's why this awakened ability is so powerful, is because unlike the attack augment, which is not as efficient as affinity, it's as efficient, if not more efficient, because it's the biggest increase to true raw you can get in the easiest fashion. Because even if you throw on the attack skill, it does not give nearly as much true raw as just adding awakened abilities onto your weapon with attack. It's incredible how efficient the attack increase is on these awakened abilities. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll try and not explain it again, because I know I've said it a couple of times, but I just want people to understand that really is important to, if you want to be the most efficient with your damage, awakened ability attack increase is the most efficient, and affinity augment level 1 is the most efficient. Ugh, we're getting really unlucky with these awakens, though. Hey, there's an attack increase 5. It's an add, though, which is weird. Alright, so we need one more attack increase 5 and then sharpness 6. I'm just going to go ahead and use a rigid. Also, I think this changed already, and I didn't notice to mention it. I think once you hit awakened level 24, the amount of points you need actually goes down instead of continuing to increase. So 20 is what you need from like 15 No, it's not 15. It's a little higher than that. Well, 20 is what we were needing between like 20 and 23. And then when we hit 24, it drops to 15, I believe. And it actually becomes easier to continue awakening your weapon. It's weird. I don't know why they did that, but it's like once you hit that truly awakened level of 23, it actually gets easier to finish the weapon out. There's attack increase 6, which is not what we want. Yeah, I was right. Okay, so once you hit Awaken level 24, you actually only need 15 points to do a manifestation, not 20. Oh, why am I getting so unlucky here? There it is, sharpness increase 6. I don't know why I decided to put it on the bottom slot, but that's fine. But here you can see, if you look at the purple sharpness, look how much of an increase that is. Like, that's huge. And so what this allows is not using so if you use handicraft, you're going to have an obscene amount of purple sharpness. Even without Master's Touch, you're probably not going to drop out of purple sharpness unless you don't ever sharpen. But with this, as soon as the monster changes areas and you sharpen, you'll basically never lose purple, which is great. The other thing is, if you don't use handicraft, you have enough purple that it will last a good while before you have to sharpen. And, I mean, if you decide to go the agitator decoration and only put maybe like 2 levels of handicraft on, you're gonna have plenty of sharpness. It's great, and that's why I like to run with that instead of the attack increase 6, because attack increase 6, it just 5 true raw is not much. 1.6, not even 2% attack increase. So it's like, whereas the purple sharpness is a good chunk. And as we all know, I don't like using Master's Touch. I kind of got burnt out on it in base world, and I just think it's kind of an overpowered skill, so I don't like using it. I'm efficient with a lot of my other builds and stuff, but the fact that there's basically almost everyone plays Master's Touch, and I guess I just want to be different. I don't know. I can't really explain it other than I just think that it removes too many systems from the game. I think it's too powerful, and so I don't like using it. So being able to keep purple without needing to run Master's Touch is phenomenal, and it's just so much better to me than a 1.6% damage increase. And I don't even know that you get a true 1.6% damage increase with that level 6 attack boost, because it's 1.6% raw increase, but because of the way damage numbers work, it might actually be less than 1.6% straight attack or straight damage increase. It's just a 1.6% true raw increase. I don't know. I haven't done all the math to figure it out. I just know that when it comes to your true raw numbers, you're only increasing by 1.6% if you raise attack 5 to attack 6. And I think we get more out of increasing I think it's more than a 1.6% increase of sharpness going from sharpness 5 to sharpness 6. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to stick with it. It's what I did on console, and it's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so now we need one more thing. We need to get that last attack increase 4 to attack increase 5. If we can do that, we are all set. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of luck. See, this is what stinks, is when you have to burn through Dracolite just trying to get that last increase, and you just don't get it. You see stupid things like defense increase 5, and you just want to be sad. I don't want to waste a large Dracolite because it'll give me extra points I don't need. Attack increase 3 does not help. Attack increase 6 does not help. I need a 5. Luckily, Dracolite Shard and Dracolite are not that rare. You just, even if you have a cruddy run, you'll get plenty of them overall. So I'll just have to do more Saphies. I don't know if it's Safi or Safi. I guess I didn't listen enough when they said it. You've got to be kidding me here. Stop showing me attack increase 6. I don't need it. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous, and it's way too much Dracolite being wasted here. And it's giving it to us every time. Come on, give me a 5. Now there's Rathalos Essence, Brachydios Essence, and Velkhana Divinity. Those are all kind of nice, I guess. The Velkhana Divinity actually can be nice because you could get Critical Element with just 2 pieces of, or with that and then 1 piece of Velkhana armor. So that could be nice, but it's not my top choice by any means. So we've now wasted 11 runs here because it just does not want to give us the 1 attack increase 5 we need. There it is. I guess if I complain enough, it'll do it. Alright. There we go. So, that is our weapon fully awakened. 990 attack, which is 300 true raw. We've got a good chunk of purple, especially with handicraft. Affinity's at 5%, which obviously if we augment it with the affinity augment, that'll jump to 15. However, my plan is actually to give the Safi weapons health recovery 2, because I'm hoping with health recovery 2 that will completely negate the damage from the Safi armor, which would mean that we could potentially use the Safi armor with the Safi weapons, and that would be pretty cool. Now, obviously there's still an issue. If you miss the monster, you still take damage, but if health recovery is at least kind of making up for it, it's not that big of a deal. And the other problem is that means I need a ton of Great Spirit Vein gems because you need to get the weapons up to... You have to augment them 3 times to get enough slots for health regen 2 because it takes all 6 slots. But if that does work... And the investment's not so bad because if you decide to remove an augment, you get everything you put into it back. So that's at least nice. So if you decide, I didn't like this augment setup, you can get your Great Spirit Vein gems back. I really am glad that they included that because, dear lord, it would suck to have to, like, if you decide, oh, this augment setup stinks, lose out on all those parts you put in. So that's at least nice. So you get stuff back. But the reason that I'm thinking this might work is the weapon already has 5% affinity on it. Yes, 15% would be nice for crit boost, but when you figure if I do health regen 2 and I can use the Safi armor, Safi's set bonus gives 40% affinity if you're wearing the full set. And 40% is better than 10%. So augmenting in to be able to use the Safi set, get the 40% boost to affinity as well as 40% from Critical Eye 7, you're now 80. Plus the 5% on the weapon, you're at 85% affinity right there. That's obscene. That's extremely powerful. And if you put attack level 4 on there, you're now at 90%. You almost have 100% without affinity augment. So that could be basically what I want to use until a new set gets released that I like better. And you're not really losing out on true crit element because the Safi set bonus also gives a big boost to your elemental damage. So it could be really, really, really good. But I have to be able to augment things up to their max level and also get health regen level 2. So it's probably going to be a bit of farming in the Guiding Lands. So we'll see. But between this video and the next video, I am probably going to farm more Safi and try and at least have one of every element and status fully awakened. That way we have at least... we can use all the different Safi weapons a bit. I've mentioned that I don't like the design, so I do like to use my old weapons a lot too. But because these exist, I want to show them off. So I'll try and be more... diverse in the weapons that I use. I mean, we're at a point now where we're strong enough that we can basically take master rank stuff down in 8 to 12 minutes depending on what we're fighting. Maybe some Elder Dragons take 15 minutes depending on if I'm good at fighting them or not, namely Lunastra. So since we're at that point, it really doesn't matter what I use as long as the weapon makes sense for the monster. So I'll probably be switching between Xephyr weapons and other unique weapons to just have diversity. We'll see how that goes. I'm also hoping to make different armor sets as well. The armor I'm going to make off camera just because you all don't need to see me crafting for a bajillion years. And I don't know how sets are going to work until I've made them, and I also need a ton of Great Spirit Vein gems just to get things augmented. So there's a lot of farming and grinding to do in the background, and I don't need to do a video for all of that. However, I will say, if it's something that I have not fought in the Guiding Lands, I will obviously record it. If I have fought it in the Guiding Lands, though, I will probably fight it off camera, not only in the Guiding Lands, but potentially as investigations. Because there's no difference between, say, a Tempered Stygian Zinogre in the Guiding Lands versus a Tempered Stygian Zinogre investigation. It's the same monster. I just prefer to do it in the Guiding Lands so that you can see the Guiding Lands material, because the material from an investigation is the same as if it's not tempered. The only difference is tempered monsters give decorations as rewards instead of parts. But any monster parts you get from a tempered monster are the same as their non-tempered version, so it doesn't make sense to show them as an investigation, whereas it does make sense to show them in the Guiding Lands because a non-tempered monster's Guiding Lands materials are different from a tempered monster's Guiding Lands materials. So there's that. So yeah, I know that was a long video, but Xephyr has so much to it, and it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you all did enjoy getting to experience all of that. I enjoyed experiencing it. I love Xephyr Jiva. I think the siege is a lot of fun. I don't necessarily like the grind that is trying to upgrade awakened weapons, because as you saw there, you can end up going round after round after round after round and not get what you want. And it can be frustrating because you'll burn through Dracolite and then you need to farm more Dracolite. And if you don't get everything upgraded before Xephyr's gone, you're probably waiting 3-4 weeks before Xephyr's back to get more Dracolite, unless you have a ton of awakened weapons you can trade in for Dracolite. So there's all that. If I remember correctly, I think someone mentioned before that if you have a weapon that has a level 3 awakened ability on it, so let me I guess I should show a weapon to kind of explain. Let's find something that's not a longsword to look at. Here, how about this hammer? Okay, so as I mentioned, when you get a weapon, a Xephyr weapon, it will always have one awakened ability on it. If it has a awakened ability that is a level 3, when you trade it in to for Dracolite, I believe you get a large Dracolite out of it, which is just kind of eh. I think someone said that if you upgrade it to having a level 4 ability on it, or even I think if you just put another awakened ability on it so it gets to awakened level 4 and you trade it in, I believe you get a rigid Dracolite, so which is much more worth it. The investment is totally worth it. I might be wrong and it could be Dracolite to large Dracolite, but either way, the investment of increasing it by 1 awakened level is absolutely worth it apparently. I'll have to test it on my own at some point to confirm, but for now just know that that could be a thing. So if you need Dracolite and Xephyr's gone, trade in your weapons, but maybe increase their awakened level at least by 1 level before you do it, so that you hopefully get a bigger piece of Dracolite that can help you out more with awakening your weapons. But enough with all that. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was a long video, but you know, it's just the way it worked out. So that is not what I want. There we go. I wanted to show off this before we end. So either way, again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like on it. You can also comment, leave any suggestions in the area below the video, and of course you can subscribe, hit the little bell icon. You'll get email updates when I upload new videos. However, that is all I have for you today, so thank you so much for watching, and as usual, this is Xephyr, signing out.